Hey everybody, welcome back to Candlelight Stroll, where we profile paranormal hotspots in the tri-state area. And always, we're your hosts, Marcus D.
and Vic Whateley.
Best paranormal hotspots out there that you can find are cemeteries. You know, these are places that many paranormal investigators will first cut their teeth whenever they're first delving into the field. And I thought for our very first cemetery that we would look at Pilot's Knob Cemetery in Marion, Kentucky. And Vic's going to tell you a little bit more about the lore. What do you got for us?
Well, according to the lore, Mary Rebecca Ford and her daughter Evelyn were determined to be witches by the local people. They basically went gangland style on them and decided to burn them. After being burned, they buried the daughter within the Pilot Knob Cemetery and buried her under rocks, concrete, as well as iron bars to keep the evil within. Iron being a commonly believed material to bound away certain supernatural beings, ghosts being one of them. Supposedly, if you go out there, you'll see the ghost girl around her grave, and the grave's pretty easy to find. Supposedly, she'll make faces at you and taunt you to try to get you to come closer. Where once you get within reach of her, she'll grab you and try to pull you into her grave. Also, supposedly, if you climb the fence and lay down over her grave, you can't get back up. But there's also more to the lore than that. Supposedly there's a darker being that some people have taken to call him the Watcher. The Watcher is constantly trying to get at the little girl's soul, but can't pass the iron bars. So it seems to be not only something that binds her, but protects her from this being on the outside. As far as the exacts on what the Watchers claim to be, some sort of unnamed paranormal entity, sometimes described as being a freeform shadow or a shadow person. Supposedly the Watcher, being unable to get to the little girl, will supposedly lash out and, according to some sites, quote-unquote, steal the soul of investigators who go there. Seems a little overblown to me, but it's possible that there's something to at least his presence. Supposedly you'll know when he's around because you'll get an eerie chill and the hairs on the back of your neck will start standing up. So Marcus, what's the history have to say on this?
Now, I hate being the bearer of bad news, but as usual in these situations, the history doesn't quite match up with the lore. When you research the history of the two women, you can actually find the death certificate for Mary Evelyn Ford, the child, and we'll pop it up here for you so you guys can actually take a look at it. And I'm going to give a big thanks to Adam Mathers, who found this for us, so that you guys can see this. And on the death certificate, according to it, Mary Evelyn Ford, the child, died from peritonitis, which is kind of the inflammation of the stomach lining, and rectal impaction. It's not a nice way to go. To be fair, I doubt anyone would really put burning at the stake on a death certificate. However, the story does say that her mother, Mary Rebecca Ford, burned with her. When you look at the 1920 census, it still has her mother living, 4 years after the death of her daughter. In truth, her mother lived for several years after the death of her daughter. So Vic, knowing the history, what do you have to say about the lore?
Well, I think the lore actually matches the actual events much better than it does the original story. I mean, if both of the women were burnt at the stake, wouldn't it make sense for there to be two different graves there bound in iron? Wouldn't it make sense for the mother to appear as well as the daughter? Beyond that, you have the daughter experiencing a very gruesome death. Everything would match up with the idea of it becoming a ghost. Beyond that, dark spirits, particularly shadow-oriented ones, are often associated with sickness and death from sicknesses, especially in American Indian lore. So, if anything, I think the lore matches up better with the traditional story, or at least the reports that people are given match up better with what actually happened than the folkloric telling of it.
As far as accounts from other investigators, people have reported that some of the people in the town seem to be trying to keep hush-hush or acting like there's more to the story than they're going to let on, and at least more than they're willing to tell at this point. If we have any locals to that area out there who knows more about the story than we currently do, please let us know. We'd like to hear your side of things. People have also reported seeing ghostly forms wandering around the cemetery. People have said that as you're out there, you'll sometimes hear voices or crackling sounds from the woods around you. Many people report an eerie presence following them around, something that they can't quite shake, or a constant sense of being watched. People also say that you can hear footprints in the gravel behind the iron bars as if someone's pacing back and forth. Some people say you can even find footprints out there.
Now, both Vic and I have been out to Pilot's Knob Cemetery to investigate it. When we went out to investigate it, we did find a lot of the local people were very, very hesitant to talk about it. We stopped at a gas station prior to going up there, and we asked the attendant there about what she knew about the cemetery, and I mean, she just went white. She just was very taken aback that we were asking about it. You know, and this is a third shift gas station attendant. I'm sure this lady's seen all sorts of weird stuff, and I mean, we just asked her about the cemetery, and she just kind of like froze up on us about it. So she was very hesitant to talk about it. So you will see that when you go out there. We did see the footsteps inside the little girl's grave when you're up there. The one thing that I did notice about it is that many of the footsteps were different sizes when I was there, which I thought that was interesting. I think Vic may talk a little bit more about what his thoughts on that are. But I was the one that kind of I pointed that out to him. I did kind of get an eerie feeling when we were out there, but I mean, you are in a cemetery. I guess my thoughts on the whole thing is that this is a very small town, and in any sort of town, you sort of have that place that everybody kind of has that weird, creepy feeling about, and kind of spins tales about it. And this place just really fits the description. And when you look at the cemetery, it's a very old cemetery, but Mary Evelyn's Ford's gravestone, which is surrounded by the bars, is the most ornate there. So if someone is trying to spin a tale about a grave there, it's likely the logical, graveside to do it, because it stands out the most of any of them out there.
Well, the first thing I'd have to say is that I didn't have any particular confirmable paranormal experiences while out there. The place certainly did carry its own strange ambiance to it, and yeah, I did get the chills a few times, and a few times I did have the sensation of being watched, one or two times pretty strongly. But as far as did I actually see anything, hear anything, well, not something that I can confirm as being definitely paranormal. As far as the sounds going around out there, well, we heard some things out in the woods, and we weren't really able to place it to anything naturally existing, but at the same time, we didn't catch eyes of the mysterious watcher or anything along those lines. There are definitely people out there testing the folklore there. There were signs that the iron bars were bent outward as if someone was pulling themselves in, and I think that's likely the source of many of the footprints that people are seeing around in the gravel, just people going in, testing the stories. I've heard from several people that it does work out where you lay down and you just can't get back up. You feel like someone's pushing against you. But out of respect for the gravesite, none of us gave it a try. It just seemed a little one of those things where I was raised differently on not doing stuff like that. Even though I didn't have any paranormal experiences while out there, I think there's likely something to it. The people of the local area clearly give it a great deal of gravity, and I may have just been there on an off night, and I'd love to go out and check it again, because with the way people respond, I really think there might be something to it.
Thank you so much for tuning into our show today, guys. If you enjoyed this, please check out our other Candlelight Stroll videos as we look at other paranormal hotspots in the tri-state area. We want to give a big shout out and thank you to Adam Mathers for bringing us this paranormal hotspot to look at and helping us with so much of the research involved with this place. He's a great asset to One Candle Society, and we would not be who we are without him. Check out our video next week where we're going to talk about Bargeist Road in Brazil, Indiana, a real huge paranormal hotspot. As always, if you guys like this video, like, share, and subscribe. Get it out there to everybody else. But most important, keep believing.
'Cause we'll keep listening.